As you know, KwaZulu-Natal boasts the highest number of pupils in the basic education sector. And it's not only that, there are also huge challenges when it comes to the issue of infrastructure. But to explain these issues and more, I'm joined by the MEC for Education in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Mshengu. Mr. Mshengu, thank you very much for your time. Is the basic education department in KwaZulu-Natal ready to reopen?
I can say that by the 1st of June, all schools in KwaZulu-Natal will be ready. We're working hard as a department to put in place all the essentials that are necessary in the fight against COVID-19 in all our schools. You will know that as a sector with different stakeholders, we have agreed on what we termed non-negotiables that must be in place before we even reopen our schools. Currently, we're following up on delivery because we have procured all resources that are needed. You count PPEs, the issues of sanitizers, and all the non-negotiables that we agreed on. Procurement has been done. We're now following up on delivery. We're expecting that the last day of delivery will be tomorrow, because our intention is that our schools must be ready at least by the weekend, so that by the time teachers come back next week, the schools are ready, because also the life of teachers matters. So it's not only the life of learners that will come back on the first. We must protect the lives of teachers as they come back next week. So as the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we are confident that we will be ready by the time teachers come back, as well as the learners come back on the first.
MEC, there are also issues with regards to the vandalism that we have seen in the schools in the province, most schools actually in the province, when you look at the picture nationally. What has been done in that regard?
Well, it's one thing that is really putting us under more strain, because as schools get vandalized, we are forced to revert back and repair those schools. It hinders the progress. There are a number of schools that we still want to build in the province. There are a number of schools with the aging infrastructure which we need to revamp as the province. But when schools get set alight, when they are destroyed by the criminals, we get hampered in terms of the progress, because they know, these people, that when they vandalize our schools, will not allow a situation where a day will go by with a learner without a class. So it put more strain on the financial resources that we have already been complaining about.
MEC, there are a number of schools in the province that do not have clean running water. From where you are you satisfied that by the 1st of June, those schools will have would have met the requirements to actually reopen?
I am satisfied that those schools which we have identified in the province will be having the necessary water resources. As a province, we are procuring just over 2,000 static water tanks, which will be deployed in all those schools. The National Department of Education, working with the National Department of Water and Sanitation, will be giving an additional of just over about 1,500 static water tanks, which will also be deployed to a number of schools in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But we are not also giving static water tanks. All the schools of KwaZulu-Natal will be given 5 hand wash stations. All of the school of KwaZulu-Natal, all the schools in KwaZulu-Natal. Yesterday I visited the King Cetshwayo district to inspect the work that is being done, and I was quite pleased to see the manner in which we are proceeding. Each school is having 5 what you call the hand wash stations, because we want to have learners regularly washing their hands, and they are also clearly demarcated to ensure that there is social distancing as learners go to wash their hands. So the issue of water in KwaZulu-Natal will be attended to before the 1st of June.
MEC, what do you say to parents who may be feeling anxious at the moment, saying that they are not sure whether this is the appropriate time to actually reopen schools and send their children to school?
Well, we understand that this is quite an emotive issue. The anxiety from parents is quite understandable. Obviously, there are those people who have nefarious intentions who will be insulting us on why we are opening schools. We note those. But the anxiety, the genuine anxiety from parents is quite understandable. But what we need to know is that there are realities that we must face. We are faced with a virus that does not have any cure. And the scientist advises us that it may take more than 2 years, if ever the cure will be found, because they are saying this is a flu just like any other flus that are there in society, except that this one has been existing in animals. As to how it escaped from animals to human beings, that one remains a debate. But the human body was not ready to deal with this kind of a flu. So it's still going to stay with us forever, and therefore you can't close schools forever.
MEC, another crucial issue is the issue of capacity from your side. We know that when this social distancing must be implemented, it means then that you will not have the same number of learners as you'd normally have in a classroom. Do you have enough teachers in that regard to actually carry on this project?
We're quite working now on the issue of possible vacancies in terms of teachers, including how we're going to re-engineer the education system as it were. One thing that we have agreed on is that matriculants must be in school every day until they write their examination. But as we start phasing in the other learners, we are looking into possibilities like of platooning, of day shift, or even week shift, where particular grades will come on a particular day, they get given homework, they don't come the following day, other grades come and all of that. Or even particular grades will have to take a week in school, get given homework, then they don't come to school the following week, so that they give space for the other grades. And that will help us to mitigate against the issue of the dire need of infrastructure, the social distancing, but also dealing with the issue of teachers. But we also accept that there will be cases where there are teachers that have underlying illnesses which will not be coming back to schools, and in that regard we will be employing substitute teachers to fill in the gap of those teachers.
MEC, thank you very much for your time.
Siyabonga.
Thank you. That's the MEC for Education in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. KwaZulu-Natal. It's back to you in Johannesburg for now.